couple of people. Okay, so you notice it says live up there, so people can actually see the recording now. But
Okay.
it's not terribly important anyway. Okay. So feel free to introduce yourself one more time.
I think everybody knows me already.
Well, you never know. These videos are public, so people might be watching who don't know you.
Oh God, that's kind of scary. Okay. My name is Sue Wells. I live in Waldorf, Maryland. I've got 6 kids, 9 grandchildren. I work at, I guess I shouldn't tell people where I work, like a privacy thing, or I work in many events as an executive assistant or glorified secretary.
Okay. So we just had a couple of questions here. The first one was nice and easy. What were your favorite games and toys when you were a preteen and younger?
I had this terrible distaste for games because my parents used to make me play Monopoly with them, and I hated that game with a red, white hot passion. So, my when I was 13, my uncle taught me how to play chess. That was fun, and I actually got good enough to beat him a couple of times. That was like during the summertime when there wasn't a whole lot to do. It would get really hot and you'd want to be indoors for a little bit. Um, Battleship, that was a favorite game. I like that game. Uh, I guess typical games that kids played then, like jump rope, hopscotch, foursquare, tetherball.
Were you very competitive in your games?
No, I'm not a very competitive person. It was just to have fun. I don't recall being, competitive. I never played sports or anything like that. I guess my competitive nature came out when we were in band because we competed against other bands in the spring marching band. So that was always competitive. That's the whole reason we went to these different places was to compete against the other bands in the area. Of course, senior high was our big rival. Was want to stomp on them. And our school was relatively young compared to them. We were only 3 or 4 years old, and they had been around for like decades. So they had a much bigger music program than we did. But we held our own most of the time.
Yeah. Do you guys talk a lot of crap to each other in high school?
Oh,
Like in the band, I mean.
totally. We talk shit all the time about, how we're so much better than them and all that kind of thing. Yeah, we'd steal ideas from other people of things we could use to make us seem cooler and stuff, like cowbells and that kind of stuff to add to the cadence that we had when we marched. You marched to this cadence with just drums, drums, and I remember we were competing in this big games that had probably, I don't know, close to maybe 8 to 10 bands, and it was at senior high because they had a field. We didn't. So, and of course, we heard different cadences and we'd steal from them and add different stuff. But it was a lot of fun. We never scored. I think once we scored pretty high, but we were kind of a musical wasteland out there for the most part.
You guys were the underdogs then.
Yeah, there wasn't, most of the music programs out there comparatively to other states was kind of, was pretty new. And, depending on the music teacher, it always mattered most on how well we did.
Yeah.
So, but it was fun. It was a neat way to be a part of a team, and sometimes, unless you've been involved in band, sometimes you can just suck so hard that the day before, and when you get ready to compete, all of a sudden you just collectively get your shit together and play really well, just out of nowhere. And of course, you're trying to play and march at the same time and not look, that's the hard part. You could just stand there and play, it would be easy. But it was a good time. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So kind of off track, we may jump back to this the high school topic too, because I feel like there's a lot there. But I guess who are your best friends? And my own addition to that question is why.
My first best friend the very first best friend I remember was when I was 7. I lived in Santa Monica, and her name was Victoria. I think she was Hispanic. I remember she wasn't Caucasian, but she was my first best friend that I can remember. And we moved to Simi Valley, and Sue Shoup, that lived right down the street from me, became a good friend, mainly for, geographically speaking, she was close by. And the girl that lived next to her, Diana Cup, she became really good friends. So we were kind of like the Three Musketeers for a while. But Diana's mother got killed in a car accident, and she and her sister were sent back to their father, who lived in not Napa, but up in Northern California. So when we were like 13, so it was just soon on after that. But we didn't have a lot in common because she was really wanted to be popular. She was one of the popular girls in school. And the funny part is we could hang out at home together, but at school there was no, don't say hello to me or anything.
Yeah, just stay back. Don't acknowledge we know each other. We're not that cool.
She would look at me like I was crazy, because she hung out with cheerleaders and football players and all that, and I was in the band, which I guess in her mind we weren't cool enough or whatever. So.
Wait, is this the same friend from when you were 7, or is this a different person?
No, this is a different person. Victoria, once I moved to Simi Valley, we never saw each other anymore.
Oh, okay.
So that was just briefly. But when we moved to Simi Valley, Sue and Diana became good friends. And then in junior high, in band, I had close friends. Debbie Havens was one, and she remained a friend throughout high school. She was like 6'2", so she was really tall. And because of her size, she couldn't just buy clothes off the rack. Her mom had to make most of her clothes, and she had big feet, obviously, and very narrow. So she had to special order her shoes from this company that had like 3 different styles, and all 3 of them were ugly. And she would just wanted to be able to, have shoes that all the other kids had, and that kind of thing. I felt sorry for her. But we hung out a lot and did a lot of things, got our licenses and all that kind of stuff.
So you guys, did you continue talking throughout high school and afterward and so on, or when did it stop?
Once we graduated, she went on. We both kind of went to Moore Park College, but she went full time, and I tried to go full time, but I had to work too. And she started hanging out with other kids that drank and stuff, and that just wasn't my thing, so we kind of lost
Doing
contact.
the drugs.
I don't know about drugs, but she definitely was drinking. And at that point in time, my dad was pretty much a full-blown alcoholic, so that didn't appeal to me at all. I didn't see anything appealing about hanging out with somebody who drank. Plus, I didn't have time. I went to school. When I wasn't going to school, I was working, so we just kind of lost touch. And when we went out to California, when you guys were real young, Greg and I went to a kind of a pseudo band reunion at a park, somewhere in Sydney. And I saw her again, and she had married this dude from England named Clive.
Ooh.
And she ended up having a child when she was like 38, really pretty old. and I think that was the only one she had.
So
But
she was way behind. She had a long way to go
yeah,
to
well,
catch up with you.
she didn't want any kids for a long time, I guess, and then decided to go ahead and try it. And she said she wished she had had one sooner. I think after that, she didn't know. But yeah, so it was interesting seeing her again. But she was one to like hammer down that wine there. So I guess the drinking kind of stuck with her.
Yeah.
I'm real
It's probably
sensitive about that kind of thing. So.
yeah. That's fair. I don't think I would either. So I think one of my favorite teachers was Mr. Coupe in high school,
I
mostly
remember
because
that.
he was such a hard ass, and he also I think he he made such an impression on everybody else and remembering our family. But I mostly just remember him yelling at freshmen and stuff like that. He was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
And he totally ended up marrying the lady that we all said he had a crush on because he would go out to lunch with her every day. So we all called it. But
Yeah.
I just, you know,
I think you're stuck. There you go. Stop
oh,
moving for a little bit there.
sorry. Did you not hear me back there? Did it freeze up?
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, just for those vague reasons, he was probably my favorite teacher anyway. Who was your favorite teacher and why?
In high school,
Yeah, I mean, unless
um,
you had a more impressionable one in middle school, but that just seems unlikely.
I had one teacher that in fifth grade that I was just so worried I was going to get. Her name was Miss Herbert, and she was super old. I'm sure she was like my age now or something. She just seemed so ancient and mean, and I just remember being crushed when I got her. I remember thinking, oh God, it's going to be so horrible. But she turned out to be a really good teacher. I was real sad to be out of her class. In middle school or junior high, I don't remember having a favorite teacher. Junior high was just like nothing good came about in that era. It was seventh, eighth, and ninth grade back
Yeah,
then.
let's just pretend that ever happened.
Yeah, really. And in high school, I had an English teacher that I really liked. I can't remember her name. She was like 30 years old, and she's real hippie kind of, and stuff. And I took a Shakespeare class from her, and that was like my favorite class. I loved it. She was so good at explaining what, all the language meant and stuff, and showing the correlation between when in Shakespeare's time and our time, that really wasn't that different, what people did and that kind of stuff. So, I wish I could remember her name, but
I mean, was she like goofy or something? What was
she
I
was
mean,
just real
aside from
mellow,
being intelligent.
kind of mellow and just, peace, love, like. She didn't get upset. She had interesting uh, books. We read Romeo and Juliet, and what was the other one? Oh, Macbeth. We read like 3 or 4 Shakespearean plays, Taming of the Shrew, and things like that. She's had a really good way of explaining things and making it relevant, to a bunch of 16-year-olds or whatever. That really wasn't as ancient as we thought. Because a friend of mine had suggested I take it, and I'm like, Shakespeare? Seriously? No, I don't think so. Because I'm telling you, it's so cool. And he took it from another teacher that was a dude. I didn't get him. I got this lady one. But it was really good. It kind of, she opened my eyes to a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have tried at that age. I realized that really was fun. So,
Well, what kinds of things? Like, what do you mean?
just to try something like Shakespeare. That initially I would
No.
probably go, who wants to read that, because at that point I was reading a lot, but mainly, like mysteries, Agatha Christie, and all that, and John Steinbeck and things like that. And Shakespeare just seems so ancient. I can relate to this. I can't even understand what people are saying, and she was very good at helping us understand the verbiage and what all the different things are. So, she was just one of those teachers you just like watching. She's just like so mellow. Very cool. But, yeah, she was my favorite. I didn't
That's
have too
cool.
many favorite teachers, but I can't remember
So
her name.
it wasn't that important, apparently.
Evidently, her name wasn't. No.
Where was your favorite location to grow up? Like when you were younger, were you? I know you spent most of your time in Simi Valley, right? But
Right, yeah.
did you live anywhere else?
Uh, Other than Santa Monica, that was definitely not my favorite place. That was much more restricted because it was not in a good neighborhood, so I couldn't just go off and Plus, I was younger then. Simi was good at that time because at that time the population was like 40,000. It was pretty small. Most people had never heard of it before, and it was rural enough that you could just go off and climb around in the mountains or the hills, I guess, not in the mountains. And they had orange groves everywhere, and you could just do a lot of adventuring without, with being pretty, safe. Nobody worried about until Charles Manson came out and fucked it all up. But he hung out in the Santa Susana Hills and made us all
Yeah, I would imagine
scared.
that would kind of screw things up.
Yeah, it was. It really was a real bad guy. And he was supposed to be somewhere in the Santa Susana Hills, so he was nearby, but I don't know. He never bothered anybody. But that was later on when I was getting ready to leave home. But it was fun
Yeah.
because we just ran around like banshees.
Yeah, it sounds like you spent a lot of time outside, so Simi Valley would be a cool place to hang out.
Yeah, kind of like you guys in Havelock, I used to just go off and do whatever, and you didn't really worry about
Oh
getting
yeah, those two places are often compared. I mean, Simi Valley, Havelock, it's pretty much the same.
well, and compared in that you could run around and not really worry about getting mugged or raped and
Well, at least not in 1998 or whenever we were in Havelock.
yeah.
So
I think we left in 97, 98 after Chris
yeah, at least 97,
graduated.
98. So
Yeah,
maybe a
it's
year
after
before that as well.
Chris. We were there for 2.5 years.
Hmm. Um, I like this question. How did you rebel as a teenager, or did you?
Or did I? That would have been my sister. She was the rebellious one. It's the most rebellious thing I ever did. I remember once, after I got my license, we had this station wagon that was used. It was black and had red interior, so it was really tacky. And I remember my dad said I could drive it, but I was not allowed to have any friends in the car, ever. And I came home from school once, and Sue Shoop, the girl down the street, comes running up to me and asks if she can have a ride home. So I'm like, okay, well, she's a neighbor at school. Well, she gets in, and all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 other girls come in that are her friends. And she goes, can you give them a ride too? I'm like, are you serious? I'm not even supposed to have you in the car. Well, anybody else. And the whole time I'm driving these chicks home, I'm like going, oh God, if my dad catches me doing this, or I get in an accident, I'm in so much trouble. So that was pretty much the most rebellious thing I ever did. I didn't get caught, but
Oh,
shortly
so you totally
after,
got away with it.
yeah, I totally did. But shortly after I got my license, they bought a new car. It was an LTD station wagon that was 4 years old, which might as well have been, brand spanking new. And my dad informed me that I was not to drive that at all. I'm just like, oh my God, kill me now.
You're just not on the driver's list of that.
Yeah, but my mom let me drive it when he wasn't around. So, yeah, my sister was one of the rebellious. I wished I had had more of a rebellious nature at that point, but I didn't.
Really, what would you have done differently?
Um, I probably wouldn't have done anything differently. I just wouldn't have worried so much about getting in trouble. That was always a big deal because my parents were like super strict with me. But I think my sister just wore them down to the point where she was in high school, she just, could do whatever she wanted to. And my parents were just like, all mellowed out. I'm just like, because when I went out once, it was just before the explosion of Mount St. Helens. Matt was 2, and Chris was like 10 months old. Dad was on tour, so I went out there for a few weeks. And when I was a kid, I was not allowed to wear jeans. I'd wear trousers, which was like super gay. And while we were out there, my sister comes home from school and she's wearing these jeans. And not only is she wearing them, they're super tight, they got holes in them, and she's wearing a shirt with no bra. Now mind you, she didn't have anything, significant to show off. She was very flat chested. But still, I remember looking at her going, I can't even believe what you're wearing. You better not let Dad see you wear that. And she's looking at me like, what? She goes, Dad doesn't care. I'm like, yeah, you wait. He's going to get home and you're going to get it. So he comes home, he sees her, and nothing happens. And I'm looking at him like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? She gets to walk around like that. She goes to school. And that
Fucking
night,
hussy.
yeah, really. And that night, I asked my parents. I had made dinner for them, and we were all sitting there. And I'm just looking at them, going, "You look like my parents, but you don't act like them. Who are you? Well, what'd you do with my mom and dad?" So, and they're looking at me like, "What?" I said, "You let Fawn go to high school, and she's wearing jeans. I didn't get to do that." And my mom goes, my mom says, "Oh, we've mellowed out lots since you've been here." I'm like, "Yeah, no kidding."
Yeah, weed's a thing in the household now.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And of course, the stories that I told my brother and sister, and they think it's so funny because the parents they grew up with were just way different than the ones. But a lot of that reason that they were like that is because they could be, and I just succumbed, and did what they wanted. When my
Yeah.
sister came along and just balked at everything. They switched gears and decided not to be like that. So yeah, they're like 2 different people now.
Do you feel like you've mellowed out since
Oh
you were
yeah.
a young parent?
Oh totally. Yeah, you can't help but mellow out. It's just when you're young and you have a young family, you're just everything is just like, oh, this is so important. We're all gonna die if I don't get this right. This kind of thing. And when you realize the older you get, you just most things you didn't need to get upset about. It's what's going to happen is going to happen. Especially with kids, you can do as much as you can, and they're going to listen to you or they're not. And you can show the best example possible, and they'll go the other way. I don't think they ever go too far off, but they're not clones. So yeah, that's inevitable. I think. I mean, I guess there are some parents that are just as uptight, but I think it's just easier. Eventually you just feel like you just have to be calmer. You just can't keep that kind of pace up forever.
Yeah, like it's not that big a deal, or it's not
Right.
at least effort you're putting into it.
I mean, I've noticed a difference in Nikki when she was first. She just had Nicholas. Oh my God, she was just wired so tight, and now she's way more relaxed. So yeah, it just happens. So the younger kids definitely benefit more than the older ones did, I'm sure. But I was a lot different parent just in the span of time between that and Kathleen.
Do you feel like you did anything better when you were younger, maybe because you had more energy and attentiveness?
Anything better?
Maybe you were more exuberant or something like that.
I don't think so. I feel like I've been tired all my life. So
Ever since you were 12, you've just been kind of sleepy.
yeah, because I don't know. I think I had more energy than I gave myself credit for because as far as being able to produce things that I made, I put myself away compared to now. You know? I'm lucky if I get a quarter of the things done that I want to do. But as far as anything better, I don't think so. I think I've gotten better with age. You guys would probably be better judge of that than me.
We'll have to get Chris and Natalie on here at some point.
That's right, yeah.
See what they have to say about eating soap for saying bad words versus Kathleen getting mild detention for having vodka in her room.
Hey, she got a door taken off. You would have thought that
That's
I'd
right.
been with her for 2 weeks. You know? By the end of that week, she was just like a heap on the floor. Please, can I have my door back?
Never would have thought she'd say that.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting conversation when we went over how she could have done that better and what she could have done and used me as the bad guy. So I definitely got more creative as I got older, mainly because I felt like, hey, if you guys are going to jerk me around, I can jerk you around just a little bit too, just to amuse myself, if anything.
Yeah, it's only fair.
Yeah, I thought so.
What were you most afraid of as a kid? I guess you might want to break it down versus being like 8 versus 15. It's kind of a vast difference there, but yeah. What were your fears?
My biggest fear is my mother dying. After
Really?
Diana's mother was killed in a car accident, that was the first person I knew that I had seen that had died. I didn't get to go to her funeral. My mom wouldn't let me. But that was probably the first time I realized, your parents could be taken away. And I wouldn't have known I don't know where I would have gone because I didn't have my natural father or my bio dad. And I wouldn't have wanted to stay with my stepfather. I doubt if he would have wanted to take care of me by himself. I guess I would have gone to my grandparents. But that was probably, if I had one particular fear, that was the one that kind of haunted me for a while. But,
Yeah, I guess I could see why.
What was your biggest fear as a kid?
Men in the dark. That was always a thing. Up until like 17 or 18, I think. There was a couple of movies I saw that definitely sparked that into being worse, but it was I guess when I was very young it wasn't as much of a concern, but it always felt like the darkness had this presence to it, and so I was always kind of a little afraid of it. But yeah, that fear has definitely shifted now. I can walk out in the middle of the woods, and I've talked to people who are like, "You go out in the, isn't it spooky camping?" Or I'm like, "No, it's fine. There's nobody out there. Nobody wants to waste time going out there to mess with you." But, so not a lady, so that helps. But
I think all kids, when they're young, always have the monster thing or that kind of stuff. That's always amazing. And when Nat and Chris were little, I used to try to talk them out of, try to tell them there was no such thing. By the time you came along, I realized this is a waste of breath. Because I could sit there and tell you all day long there's no monsters, but you're going to believe in monsters until you do. And so that's when I switched it to, you don't need to worry about monsters because you're going to be safe because a monster's going to go after your older brothers long before you. And you'll have lots of time to run out of the room. So that seemed to satisfy you.
yeah, I can see why that would be encouraging. Like, I don't need to be faster than him, just my siblings nearby. So
right. They can go for a pipsqueak like you. When I got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. I guess these days it'd probably be cars, and I guess my own family. Like you would say, you worry about your mother dying. I mean, there's not only just you, but there's so many things that can take anybody, and like we've acknowledged before, there's so many of us that it's inevitable, of course, that we will all die, but that someone might die early. So
that's why I always, whenever someone talks about that, especially during the Thanksgiving time, I always like to bring that up, that we're incredibly lucky considering how many people we've got, and we've hadn't had anything like that. Even people going into the hospital. No one has been. Nikki did. She was in the hospital a couple times. But yeah, just to know that all of us are still here every year is very comforting to me, because I know eventually it'll change. Invariably.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but it's fun to be thankful for what we have now, which is, I guess, kind of sparked why I wanted to do some of this this interview stuff. Like I plan on doing some with Grandma when we're out in Vegas, just because that'll be convenient, and of course she's one of the oldest of us. So
yeah, I don't think there's anybody older than her on Dad's side.
yeah, that's a good point.
'Cause she's the oldest in her family.
Oh yeah, she was supposed to send me a picture of her sister who's coming out to visit soon too.
Oh, Jairus. That's so
Yeah.
good.
Now that she's got the hang of her iPhone, so she plans to take advantage of it, or probably with her sister's help. But
She's all hip and together now.
that's right. She's on the internet and so on.
Thanks to you.
Yeah. And the $40 iPhone that I sent her.
I think it's cool that she even wants to learn.
Yeah, no, she's got an amazing amount of patience for this sort of thing. It's kind of sad that Grandpa never gave it a shot, because had he been like a tenth of a better teacher, she'd be much more capable now. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, he never gave her much credit for having any brains.
Yeah, he never had to help out end users. I've seen 40-year-olds who are like half as capable as her and far less patient. So.
Yeah, I'd be afraid to not at least try, because you just get left in the dust. That's when Chris had told me that Nikki's never ordered anything online. I'm like, seriously?
Really? I feel like accidentally that would happen.
Yeah.
Like, oops, I'm signed into Amazon and I clicked something.
She's never ordered anything online. So I was telling her about how Emily gets diapers online. And I'm like, that's so awesome. You guys should do that. So I don't think Nikki's ordered anything online. I'm like, yeah, she's not convinced of the benefits of technology, obviously.
Yeah, why would you bother when you could just drive 16 miles to the store and come back?
Yeah, really.
Well, I'm a little low on questions. Oh, hey, Casper found his way into the bedroom. I always think it's funny when he comes through the bathroom. I guess, what are some of your more nostalgic memories as a child, like things that have stuck with you over the many, many years?
Like warm fuzzy memories and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't want to bring up the nightmarish stuff, but if you do have warm fuzzy memories, that would probably be best.
I guess on Christmas Day, getting to go outside and play, because it was always nice out that time of year. Yeah, got bikes or whatever. That was kind of like our windfall was Christmas. We had, that's when we got the most toys or anything like that. It was like the rest of the year, forget it, you didn't get nothing. So it was like do or die at Christmas. If you forgot something, you had to wait a whole year to get it again.
Was
And
that out of like monetary necessity, or was that just your parents saying your kids you don't need that much?
I don't know. When I think of who my friends, they got stuff during the year. It wasn't like that, but for some reason, my parents did that. That was the one legitimate time, I guess, that they felt it was okay to, go all out. And we usually got a lot of stuff compared to my friends, but my friends got things throughout the year. And, there was no passing out money or doing any of that stuff. If you wanted money, you had to go earn it somewhere else. So Christmas was more of that kind of thing, which as a parent, I didn't really like that idea, because it's like not ever letting your kid have candy or cake. It becomes this desperate kind of time. And where it's like a do or die thing. You got to gorge before it's over. And
Yeah.
so a little too extreme. But that was always fun, to go out and ride your bike or your skateboard or whatever, and all your friends would show you what they got, and similar things that kids probably do now, I would think. Maybe they don't. But the weather was always nice, so you could always go out and ride your bike and that kind of thing. That's when I was younger. Watching you guys, I think when Halloween was always fun because you guys would all come home with just bags and bags and bags of candy. And of course, then the swapping began. Everybody'd sit down and dump their bag, their mound of candy, and start trading and stuff. That was always fun to watch. And Christmas time too. I miss that kind of thing. It's fun to be around the kids when we have the Christmas party and watch them all go crazy and stuff. So those kind of memories always stick with me. It's just seeing some of the things that the grandkids do that you guys did, the things you say, and they seem, I want to say cuter, but I guess because you don't have to deal with the day-to-day stuff, it's more amusing than it was.
There's not a bunch of other memories clouding the good ones.
Right. Well, it's when you're young and you're dealing with kids 24/7, it's easy to become annoyed and just go, kid is making me nuts, where you only see them once in a while. The stuff they do is funny, not something that I would have less patience with now than I did then. I think I was pretty patient when I was younger, but I also knew when my limitations were, and I better get you guys in bed before that happened because I could not be responsible for the things coming out of my mouth past 8 o'clock. And so that was definitely something I kept in mind. It's like, gotta get you guys in there. I'm starting to lose it here.
Did you have any other fail-safes besides bedtime where you made sure that you didn't lose it or had some other way to de-stress?
When you guys were little and if there's an excessive amount of crying and I couldn't appease you, then you would go into your bed and I would just go into the bathroom and just go, okay, deep breath, I told all my friends that I would go in the bathroom, pretend I'm single, sterile, and 21. I always thought that was funny. Just kind of remove myself, or if the kid was older and getting on my nerves, then it was like, you need to go away from me right now. But most of the time, I don't remember being particularly impatient. When you guys were sick or I was sick was always the worst time. Because you just, I couldn't just go to bed and try to get better. I had to just keep mucking through my day. Those kinds of things. I don't know, when you become a parent, you'll understand more. It's kind of hard to
one day.
Kind of grasp what it's all about. And when you're looking at it from the outside looking in, it looks horrible. I remember when I was pregnant with Nat, watching other people deal with their kids. I'm like, ugh, is that what it's like? This looks so awful. But that's the point, is you don't have that love element that you do with your own kids, and you that connection, I guess, or whatever, the bonding that happens. And you're okay with kids throwing up all over you and doing that kind of stuff because they're your kids throwing up all over you.
As long as they're cute afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, there would be times when I would be so tired of everybody. I was just like, guys, just need to go to bed. and one of you would say, call me for the, umpteenth time, and I'd go, what? And you go, I love you, Mom.
You were like, shut up, you stupid brat. You ruined my life.
Of course, that's when I would go, oh, okay, I guess I still like you guys.
Yes, you'll get to live one more day.
Yeah, one more day. But, yeah, it's one of those kind of things. I don't know if it's because you guys knew by the tone of my voice that you better say something cute. It better come out of your mouth.
I'm getting the feeling we had that impression, like somebody was wise up to that.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are pretty smart. But yeah, it's one of those things where you just don't even realize the love that you're capable of having for another human being until you have your own. And all of a sudden, I just remember my whole outlook just shifted almost immediately, like what they call that paradigm shift or whatever. That all of a sudden this person needed me and I had to take care of her, and just everything just kind of turned around. Not that I was ever self-absorbed to begin with, but all of a sudden it was all about that kid and making sure that all the needs were met and that kind of stuff. And that's when the teaching and all that began. Make sure that you guys had the knowledge that you needed. I didn't want you to ever have to flounder any more than, most people do. So.
Yeah. No, I think you did a good job there. Nobody floundered too badly.
No, I think everybody is doing very well. And everybody's doing their own thing, and it's fun to watch how, even 6 kids that come from similar backgrounds just kind of go their own way, and do their own thing, and become their own person. I enjoy watching that. I enjoy you guys just as much now as I did when you were younger, so just in a different
Probably more
way.
so now that you
I
don't
don't
laugh
think
our
I
asses.
can sweats anymore. That's pretty cool. And if
I mean,
you
not
throw
usually.
up, I don't have to clean that up either.
It's less common these days, but
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I did enough of
Well,
that.
sorry, I had to fix my leg there.
Okay.
But that's all I pretty much had. I think either everything was already asked or it was kind of in kind of your answers. Did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up? Any shout outs to your homies?
I noticed the last few times we've done it, there's always a question of, do I regret anything? And I would be interested in knowing what other people think when it comes to what they think I should regret. Maybe
One of us, maybe.
Is somebody trying to tell me something?
Yeah, you should have regrets.
Should I have regrets? Like that one time I asked if you were ever thought it was being unfair or something. I don't remember what it was. Of course, lots of times, whenever I heard the word no. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody's ever voiced any opinions, kind of like they're more apt to do that with Dad. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And no one's ever done that. So I'm not sure whether it's because I've done such a fabulous job, or because everybody's afraid to ask me, why were you so crappy during this one time in your life? So
I think everyone can relate to any time you felt bad a little more easily, or any time you may have been not up to par, assuming we remembered that.
Yeah.
But there aren't any, at least for me, there aren't any significant memories where I remember like, oh man, Mom was such a bitch that day. Like,
right, yeah.
At least not without cause anyway. If I was being particularly obnoxious. But, I don't think anybody expects you to have regrets with us.
Yeah, I just wondered if that, because I know I had some with my parents. Why are you guys so hard on me? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? But other than the cold squash, ordeal that I made your brother eat, I remember he brought it up once. He hasn't brought it up since, but the last time he brought it, I said, if that's the worst thing you got on me, I did pretty damn good. Because all I did was make you eat cold squash. So, and then he hasn't brought it up since then. So I guess he felt, got his validation somehow with that. Kind of like with me and my overalls.
Yeah, that's right. One day you'll get revenge on those.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, I was just curious if anybody had anything they thought I should have deep down regrets about.
No, I think they were mostly just like, do you regret having kids, or what would you have done differently, that sort of thing. At least that's the impression I get.
Never. I would never regret having children. I knew from a very young age I wanted kids. It's not to say that because you want them it isn't hard. It's going to be difficult. You're raising a human being. There's not too many things that are harder than that. But yeah, no, that's never been a regret of mine. If I could have handled it, I would have had more. But I knew what my limitations were.
Be like the Duckers or whatever they were calling, have like
Yeah,
17.
oh gosh, I could never do that. Yeah, physically, I don't even know that women can stand still, but yeah, that's definitely not the case. No, I enjoy everybody. Yeah, I was just curious if that was someone was trying to tell me something that I wasn't catching on to very well.
Oh, I thought of one last question. This can be a good finishing question too. What relative would you say had the most influence on you? Because that's something I like to think about a lot in terms of uncles and aunts. Because, well, of course, you remember your parents very well and they're important to you, but there are certain scenarios where the relatives who don't have to take care, your immediate parents who don't have to take care of you every day, they can kind of leave a lasting impact because they can choose to be this friend slash family member.
Sure, absolutely. Um, Probably my most memorable would have been my Aunt Judy and my Uncle Jack because they were only like 9 and 11 years older than me, so they were kind of like kids when I was a kid, the teenagers then. And I remember my Aunt Judy taught me how to play jacks, with the ball and you scoop it up. I don't know if you know
Oh
anything about
yeah.
that game. Um, she taught me how to play them. They were very close siblings. They always lived near each other. And my Uncle Jack, he was kind of the only father figure I had for a while. And I remember once he promised to let me hang with him for a weekend. And I must have mentioned it a million times, and my mom kept telling me, don't tell him doing that. He's got things to do or whatever. And I'm sure they probably told him, I was 12 at the time, and they probably told him, you need to take this girl because that's all she can think about. And he did. One weekend, he came by on a Friday night, and um, he picked me up at Encini, and we went to my grandmother's house. And the next day, we went to like a flea market kind of thing. He bought me some cowboy boots. That was really cool. We went to a movie. He brought his girlfriend with us, but he took her home first, which she didn't like. And then we went out. We had dinner like late at night. It's just one of those kind of things. And I'll always remember that time. And it was just really fun. He was a neat guy. He didn't know how to read, but he worked for a school district, fixed buses. He could fix anything, and he painted. He was a really good painter. Decorative painting.
Yeah.
And he just died recently, but yeah, he was pretty much my favorite relative for a long time. I haven't seen him in forever, but yeah, he was fun. He reminded me a lot of my brother. Kind of looks like him too. So when my brother and I hang out, he just reminds me of Jack a lot. So, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, your brother seems like a cool uncle. It's too bad we didn't
Oh
get to hang out
yeah,
more often.
I know. He's too funny. He cracks me up some of the stuff he says, and he and I can banter back and forth. We can go for like decades without seeing each other, and we see each other just like bam, right on point. My sister and I went out for a walk when I went out there last time he was there, and we came back and he goes, "You guys are talking about me, aren't you?" And I just looked at him like, "Oh, it's all about you, babe. All about you." He just says goofy things like that all the time. And it just reminds me of my uncle too. I wish he could come out here more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be cool. Maybe we'll get him on here one day if we can ever get him on a computer besides on Facebook. But
Yeah, really.
that'd be entertaining.
Yeah, he's pretty entertaining. It's funny.
Yeah, some of the stuff he posts on Facebook is pretty funny.
Yeah, he's just a big kid.
Yeah, yeah. I always found the funnest relatives usually kind of acted like kids, and at the same time made you kind of feel like an adult by doing things like you were saying, like going out to dinner late at night or something like that, and
Yeah, yeah.
stay
Maybe I
up
can
late.
talk him into coming out and seeing you guys. He came out once when you guys were younger, and you guys loved him. If he go out and play with you and do things and stuff. And, it's a trip. He and I have always gotten along well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me on this. Sorry to have the confusion where you were anticipating my arrival. I feel bad.
No problem. I was kind of glad you weren't, because I thought it's gonna be all late. It's gonna be tired when you get home.
I was like, he's going to impede on my 8 to 15 bedtime. I'm not going to go.
No, I took a power nap. I was ready.
That's good.
Yeah, we'll hang out next weekend and everybody can go bike riding and stuff. That'll be fun.
That's true. I am looking forward to that. I haven't been on the rail trails in a long time. So.
Yeah, it's been a while. I guess that chick decided she didn't have any money or something, and she never got back with us on the bike.
Oh, yeah. Like, that happens a lot, though. Craigslist is pretty flaky. That's why I don't take anybody too seriously.
Yeah.
Until they can show that they're going back and forth and ready to set up a meeting. So.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. Okay.
Well, okay. I think we can call this quits. Let me see if I can